Playtime's over, bro. We're closed.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another segment of Dialing In, where we work on the right grind, the right time, and the right questions. Today, we're in Wynwood, Florida, once again in the beautiful Walt Grace Vintage Cars and Guitar Gallery. Today, I'm joined with none other than the car guy himself, Mr. Jonathan Lewis. Thanks for coming, bud.
Thank you for having me.
So what are we making today?
I think I said an almond milk latte.
Almond milk latte?
Yeah, man.
So let's do it. As always, we bring out the Jetboil Java. I keep forgetting the name of this thing, but I know just Jetboil. It's good. We're gonna go with that. And thank you to our sponsors, La Colombe. Today we'll be using beans from Ethiopia. So as I'm setting this up, my man, as always, how do you dial in your morning? What's the first routine that you do when you wake up and start your day?
Our routine. Man, it's changed a lot over the past few months, but get a sense of normalcy, I guess. Coffee, obviously, actually, is from La Colombe. That's what we have here at the gallery. So that gets me going, and then next thing I know, I'm kind of here. So, yeah, yeah. As much as a morning routine as you're gonna get out of me right now, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, that's where I'm at right now.
That's it, man. This is a morning.
Boring.
I was expecting, you know,
like we always try. You know, you try and wake up earlier, ride a bike, go swimming, and it just doesn't pan out. It used to pan out, doesn't anymore.
Not anymore, unfortunately. But sometimes all you need is a good cup of coffee.
All you need is a good cup of coffee.
What's your first experience with coffee? Or well,
my first experience. Oh no, vividly I remember actually.
Oh really?
Yeah, I was like 3 years old. I was at a restaurant in Fort Lauderdale, and I remember it was a pretty confrontational thing, controversial, not confrontational, that like this 3-year-old kid was getting coffee, but I remember it vividly. It was a cappuccino, and I was bouncing off the walls. It was fantastic.
It's fantastic. You had your first cappuccino at 3 years old?
Something like that, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's one of those things that, like, I don't know if I vividly remember it or I've been told the story so many times that it feels like I remember it, but it's definitely in my head. It looks like a flux capacitor.
Flux capacitor. And why don't you have a DeLorean in this place?
It's no DeLorean.
You ready for the...
Don't sell.
Ready for the boom?
Do it. Hey, what do you know? What do you say?
And now
Forget
we wait.
about it.
Just want to show you this.
Wow, that's amazing. Oh, cool. Wow.
Nothing's happened yet.
It's boiling it so quickly. Look at the steam.
And this right here will indicate when it's ready.
That's phenomenal.
So you talk about literally in about 40 seconds you have boiling water ready to go.
It's like the ultimate bachelor kettle. Look no further.
So we talk about the first moments in coffee.
We did.
Now I'd like to learn more of your first moments in cars. Obviously, you're the car guy. You're the one that runs this aspect of the business. I'm curious, like, what got you into cars to begin with?
Oh, I didn't really have a choice. Much like you with coffee and being Cuban, it's in my blood as much as coffee sounds like it's in yours. I grew up in the high-end car business here in Miami. My father's been in it nearly 40 years now, and up until recently, I was always involved in the newer exotic end of the buying and selling, and I really wanted to kind of go away from that specific buyer and go where the passion and the emotion really lies. And to me, that was always vintage. It was always this thing because it reminiscent of the poster on the wall, and not just for me, but for the people who were involved in buying it and now curating it and keeping the passion alive. So, I mean, to go back to your root question, I didn't really have a choice, but at the same time, I don't think I ever would have said no if I had the opportunity to make the choice. They're ingrained in me and my persona, and I absolutely love everything with 4 wheels. And here we are.
It's amazing. You mentioned before that your father tends to gravitate towards more new cars, more of the modern stuff, but you gravitate towards the vintage.
Yeah, I kind of always have. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I kind of always have with everything in my life. I love things that were. The direction of where we're going doesn't necessarily interest me as much of where we've been and what has worked in the past. Very much like sometimes you can't teach an old dog new tricks, or you know if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of thing. There are a lot of things, especially in the vintage car world, where that statement holds true. And it's just very fun to be a part of the foundation of that statement now, and making sure that people who come in understand that. And it's an ethos. Vintage now is not necessarily just a year, but it's kind of how you feel about about everything that worked and that still works. So if it worked then, realistically it works now. And we always joke if people come in and they're like, can I daily drive this, or can I use this more often than not? And I kind of look at them and I look at the car. I said, at some point someone did, and it's really true. I mean, you know, at some point, if you guys can see in the camera, this is a 1967 Corvette. At some point, there was a possibility that someone drove this every day. With a lot of our 80s and 90s Porsches, there's definitely a possibility, way more than a possibility, that those cars were driven every day. So again, that vintage ethos is exactly that. It's more about, you know, who I am, who we are, and making sure that am I to drink that?
No, you're gonna smell it.
I'm to smell it. I will smell it.
But continue, yeah, so it's like...
Oh, cool, man. Yeah, so it's just more so about making sure that people understand the passion behind them. You know, vintage as a whole, not necessarily cars, but literally everything.
Yeah, as people look in here, they think they're just, it's like a gallery. Just
Exactly.
like, oh, look, but these are like porcelain that, you know, at one point these roamed the streets quite often.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
to a certain extent, they still do. Obviously, you've been doing this for well over a decade, probably longer, your entire life, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, what have you learned about people itself throughout this process of selling, dealing, curating? What has that taught you about the human experience?
The human experience through it's very interesting. I could probably stay like ridiculously political, but I'll try not to. The human experience is definitely that. It's an experience within an experience, and the buying and the selling. And I think the biggest thing I can take away from the vintage side, definitely more so than the modern, is more often than not we're dealing with with an item that's been in people's lives for you know, decades. Their grandfather's car, their uncle's car, their mom's car, and you have a level of emotion involved in vintage that is completely, I don't want to say completely disconnected, but very, very much so disconnected from the new end of the car industry. So to see that and feel that is, I feel very privileged. It's also a fine line to walk. You know, when you're dealing with someone who's selling a car they've had for 75 years in their family, and you know, the grandson or the granddaughter or the niece doesn't necessarily have any interest in it, it's a little bit painful to see that. So it's, but the human side of it, to see how people react to these cars without the level of history that they have in comparison to mine, is always interesting, and it changes with every person. So that's super cool.
Or any like kind of like downward sides of the human experience when you're dealing with these?
Yeah, it always hurts when your trust gets violated. You know, it's like when you think when you when you think you might either know somebody or you trust someone, and then, you know, kind of.
Does that happen often in the car business, I guess?
It's the car business. I can leave it at that. But you know, it's a challenge always. So you kind of always have a little bit of a guard up at all times, which is a little bit disheartening from time to time. But you kind of let the overall you know, method and reasoning why we're here kind of guide you, and that's vintage cars and the love for them.
Obviously, this will never, like I say in every show, never replicate an actual espresso machine. But it's close. You can still get genuine coffee, genuine milk, genuine foam, anywhere you go with it. So there's your coffee, sir.
You can grab it.
You can grab it.
With my hands.
It's yours with your hands. Preferably both so you don't drop it.
I don't know what to do with my hands. Well, cheers, man.
Well, cheers.
Thank you for having me.
Ah, no problem.
I never know how to hold these.
You never know how to hold these?
It's like, do I want to be like Oliver? Have some more, please. Or do I like hold it pinky up?
Do it again. Cheers, look, the little cheers here, pinky up.
See, there's such an awkward cup. Hold on. Pinky up.
Oh, there we go.
Maybe some like dainty eye contact. And then we'll take a slow sip.
This is also a roast of Tony, of Anthony.
Thank you.
Thank you. Not too bad, right? Not too bad.
No, it's really good. It's funny. I used to drink coffee. I used to drink milk with my coffee all the time, and then I did this like crazy dieting, and I just all black coffee from then. And so whenever I have milk in there, it's like this like weird treat, but also very reminiscent of what was for many a year.
Once was many
it's like,
years. Like
it's like when you take a sip of it and you like have that little cloud, and you're just like, oh.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to name 5 cars.
Okay.
5 models, and with one word, I want you to describe the type of person that would be driving that car.
You and this human experience. All right, let's go.
Ready?
Let's go.
All right. Ferrari Testarossa Montespecchio.
One word.
One word. Describing the guy or girl.
Emotional.
Emotional. The 56 Ford Thunderbird.
Caring.
Caring?
Yeah.
All right. Porsche 911.
Aware.
Aware?
Yeah.
The BMW i8.
Interesting. Almost.
That was a lot better than what I thought you were gonna say.
I was like, I don't want to be too mean.
I was like, douchebag.
You said it.
The 69 Camaro Z28.
Oh man. Passionate.
Passionate?
Yeah.
You were very polite. I was expecting crazy answers.
I have to here. At some point, someone might watch this video that's going to buy a car from us. So
No, you're absolutely right. Oh man, poor BMW. Just get a back. I was like,
I mean, if you would have asked me like a BMW 2002 Tii, I would have told you, definitely, or would have leaned conscious, just like as aware of the Porsche buyer is. There's someone, everyone's emotions are different when they buy, own, drive, these cars. So there is that word. So it just takes me a second to, relate them to it.
I don't know. Every time I'm here, I see new cars on the floor, old ones saying goodbye. And so, oh, thank you. What is your vision when you're curating this gallery? What are the things you look for in the cars? What are the things that, that appease your senses? Like, you know what, that's a fit for the Walt Grace name.
Sure. It's actually pretty easy for me. Exclusivity. The most important thing that any of my clients that then turn to friends could ask for silently is the exclusive feel to them when they walk into their garage or they walk out to their driveway and they're showing a friend the car for the first time. That the story that they tell that friend is the first time that friend hears it. So what I mean by that is, for the most part, every car sitting on our gallery floor, it's unsearchable. It has a private sale history. I don't list any of the VIN numbers online, the vehicle identification numbers, so anybody can track previous sales. And with previous listings come descriptions. And to me, the history of these cars is exactly that. It's history. It's his story. So it's someone else's job, the next owner, the next caretaker, in my opinion, to tell the rest of the people that. It's not necessarily the job of the internets or an auction or another dealership's website to tell you that. So from what I look for, most importantly, is when I'm looking for a car for the gallery, is to make sure that the car's history and provenance comes with the car quietly, and it's not a very public thing. It's like buying an art piece and the entire world knowing A, that you own it, and B, the history behind it. There are certain cars and certain art pieces where, sure, that's awesome. The accolades and the accreditation that comes with that is definitely a piece of the piece's value. But for our focus, we want to make sure that the person that whoever is buying it gets to talk about the car with, gets to tell the car's history, and the person who's on the receiving end of that, it's their first time hearing it. So exclusivity is the most important thing.
Exclusivity.
Yeah.
And dude, we're on to our last question. It's probably like the most important one. You ready for it?
Yeah. Do I have to be nice again?
No, you don't have to be nice.
Right.
I'm definitely not for this question.
Okay, go ahead.
So, who is your biggest inspiration, and why is it Ron Burgundy?
It's a loaded question to answer. It's actually not Ron Burgundy. And I don't think I'm one of those people that it's constantly asking, who's your favorite brand? What's your favorite car? I don't have a favorite car. I don't have a favorite band. I don't really have hardcore favorites. I know what I really like, but honestly, from an inspirational standpoint, you can ask a lot of people that know me, it's Robin Williams. I love Robin Williams. He just had a kind of a no care, I don't care approach to nearly everything that he did, and his improvisational skills are amazing. And something as I've gotten older, I've come to really appreciate that. I love him, everything about the guy. But and he is a huge influence. And I try and take things from him and see in other people and myself and like the way things rotate in the world and see little things from his persona and it's pretty impressive. I was actually talking to a friend last night, and he's like, when I was a kid, my mom got me backstage passes to meet him after a show in San Francisco, and I was like, oh my God, I'm insanely jealous. And he told me, he said that Robin was just so dead, he was so drained, and nothing needed to be said in their interaction. He sat next to a couch with him, and he said that was more than enough. He could tell that I understood that his silence was everything, and I needed nothing more. And the second someone walked into the room, he picked up on an accent, and he noticed they're from New York. So his ability to just be aware is something that I try and take constantly, and that's the improvisational stuff. It's picking out like the little things in a song or a car or a piece of art or design, and kind of honing in on those. So sorry for the long answer, but
nah,
I guess we could just go back to it. It's Robin Williams.
It's not Ron Burgundy.
I love Ron Burgundy with every fiber of my being, and then probably next to Sacha.
No, man, it's the little things that counts, man. That's what people bypass the most. But it's that. It's a little thing. It's even with the cars, I assume the smallest details within the engraving, the figure, the little nuances that make each one of these models special, along with the guitars, along with any kind of facet of life. It's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, the passion that went into it.
Thank you so much for coming through, man.
Thank
Thank you for having me again.
Anytime.
This is Dialing In with the great Jonathan Lewis. If
Cheers.
you're ever in Wynwood, Florida, I highly recommend stepping by, paying a visit, checking out the cafe. I heard the coffee is the best in Wynwood by reliable sources. So come pay a visit, and we'll be seeing you next time in Dialing In.
Thank you.
That's a burrito, man. Thank you so much.
That's a burrito?
That's a burrito, bro. Thank you.